Well, all right, let's get going. Again, I'm Scott Jansen. I'm the Vice President for CX Technology Evangelism here at Avtex, and really what my role is to have as many conversations as I can about what we're talking about today with customer experience and integrating it and doing what we can do for our clients. And what I want to go through today in the next 20, 25 minutes or so is how can we really create a great customer experience, and what does that really mean, and really take that and make actionable results out of it. So let's get going. So here at Avtex, we really have one mission, and that is to eliminate poor customer experiences for everybody that's even possible. So we do that through using our technology know-how, and we enable all of our clients to deliver that exceptional experience. And kind of using technology as the example, if you think back to kind of the 1980s films where we're looking at, that Terminator view of the technology, right, where machines are taking over and ultimately all our jobs will disappear. Well, that vision captured our imagination from the science fiction world back in the 80s, but for the foreseeable future, that really looks unlikely. However, in reality, technology, and as a technologist, we're really focused on a model that's more of like that Iron Man model, right? That augmented, human-aided technology that can improve productivity and profitability and customer service and innovation. And as we look at technology tools that can make it easier for us to respond to changing market requirements and take advantages of things like big data and how we collaborate, we also have the potential to help and then achieve goals of building new products and businesses and managing larger teams and gaining promotion and leading businesses, units, et cetera, et cetera. And we have this huge potential in the marketplace to cause disruption. And as we look at the experience in general, complexity really has fragmented an entire customer experience. So a customer expects a great customer experience, and frequently they're not getting it, and unfortunately they're not getting it. But as market leaders, it's our responsibility to make that happen. But it's not at all easy, right? And actually, it's probably been more difficult than it's ever been. And work becomes more complex, and individual workloads increase, and it's driven partly by the need to respond rapidly to all this quantity of real-time data that's coming at us from automation and greater demands for even collaboration. And as kind of we look at this fragmented customer experience, lack of the time seems to be the biggest challenge. And the ability of technology to help people do more with less does not always help us save that time. So collaboration becomes absolutely crucial. So teamwork is the new norm both locally and globally, right? So collaboration is the best way to make the most of individual expertise and respond swiftly to all these problems. But new solutions have been added as we try to solve these specific problems. And over time, the result is this huge fragmented series of all these different point solutions. And one system for content management, and there's a different one for planning, and still we have another one for email marketing and one for social, and kind of the conversation continues. And with the fragmentation of all these different systems, even attempting to align the customer across all these platforms and systems becomes almost virtually impossible. And that customer experience itself becomes wildly inconsistent. So you need to start solving for that complexity and keep customers engaged with a great experience and still have the capability to measure the impact of all those investments. We just need to do it smarter. So we have a survey that we really like to use at Avtex, and we kind of talk about customer experience and what modern customers need and what their modern realities are. So a question was asked, have you ever left a brand due to bad customer experience, a poor customer experience? And 65% of the respondents said yes. And that may not be a surprise, but the issues of why they left that brand are very interesting. So if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, having to contact a company multiple times for the same issue comes up as number one. And if you think about it, if you've ever contacted a company, and maybe you've gone through this with your own company as well, but if you've ever had to contact a company and call in and maybe go through an IVR or get through, and you finally get to an agent, and maybe you have to tell them the account number you just punched in to get to the right agent, and you explain your issue, and maybe it gets solved and maybe it doesn't, but when it doesn't get solved, and you have to jump off the line for whatever reason, maybe it's to have follow-up or something from the company's side, having to call back in to just check in on where your issue is at and then re-explain the entire thing, and to do that over and over, it's the #1 reason why companies are having problems holding on to their clients, because their clients are having to do this. And what starts to happen is you can remediate this is if you have one single kind of point solution for where all that information gets connected. And this becomes really important because it's not all about us just having the ability for our customers to contact us anymore. You know, phones have been around forever. It's very easy to pick up the phone and to get in and talk to a company, but email and social and instant messaging and even video and portals and chat and all this have become so extremely important. It's not just about being able to offer those avenues to get in touch with you. It's being able to understand that your customers are coming in through all these different channels, and you need to know that. So when they actually do reach someone, that person who's helping them out can see that they contact them through all these different channels, and now you can pivot and start to help them out and understand, okay, well, they've gotten to me through 3 different ways. I understand that. I need to solve this as quickly as possible and in the right way as well. So if you look on down the line, you can see more of the reasons. Being passed from agent to agent or person to person within inside of a company is the #2 reason. Impolite or rude customer service representatives, and the list goes on. But we'll make this available after the broadcast today so you can look at it. But the idea here really is having that central point of understanding, you know, where your customers are at and their journey with you, what business they've done with you in the past, and where they could go in the future if you just helped them out. And the reality really is the customer is the new CEO, and this is a quote from the former chief marketing officer at Kraft Foods. And it really points to something where technology creates some of the most pervasive challenges, right? We have big data and powerful analytics software. There's high-speed internet communications everywhere. You know, connectivity is pervasive. But it brings huge opportunities for organizations to move us closer to those customers, right? But work has become more complex. So workloads are increasing, and individuals often struggle to keep their technology skills up to date. Meanwhile, customer expectations are constantly rising, and they're fueled by increased competition and the spread of all the social media and other ways to just talk about what a brand is doing. So in one sense, becoming simpler as a business, or we're becoming simpler as a business because it's increasingly focused on the customer. So in other words, our business ideas are getting a little bit simpler because we've really started to understand that the customer is really where we need to focus, and them doing business with us isn't about us telling them how they need to do business, right? It's them telling us, you know, how we need to work together in order for us to deliver the best experience possible. And the world has changed, right? It's not just about, again, just picking up the phone and making a call. More than 4.5 billion people are using some sort of a social tool today. More than 6.8 billion people are on a mobile device, and more than 400 million tweets are coming out each day about products and services and brands. So we're not just using this to connect to other people and just do social activities and see what's trending and what's interesting in the world. We're really using this as a way to understand different products and brands. And the last number on here, the 150, I think is probably the most telling. It's the number of times that we're checking our phone each day for some sort of information, right? So we all know that the world is social and it's connected, and then everyone is connected to each other, and we see it every day in our personal lives, right? So we all use a variety of channels every day to keep up with our friends and families. Now, the important thing for us is that conversations that used to happen offline are really starting to happen online, and that's important for 2 reasons. It provides businesses with golden opportunities to reach out to our prospects, and all this information means that customers are smarter than ever before they even reach us. So that social customer journey no longer starts solely with a cold call or even a cold email. Customers know more about us before they talk to us than they ever have before. So all this, I kind of liken it to an example. I was in Iowa last week and speaking to a group, and I grew up in a small town. There was less than 1,000 people, and actually we were 2 small towns that were smashed together so we could have a high school because we didn't have enough people in either town to create a school. But in one of the towns there was a grocery store, and Norm was the person who ran that grocery store, and we knew Norm, and Norm knew all of us. And we were willing to go into his store and pay higher prices to go to the smaller store because Norm would ask us how our day is going, how our family was doing, you know, do we still like the car we had just purchased, you know, how are we, you know, doing with, you know, our sporting events in the town, because that was a big thing for a small town. But it was great coming in and having that feeling that Norm knew us every single time. And he would even do things like, hey, you know, I noticed last week we didn't have enough bananas in stock. I made sure that they were there this week, so you could purchase them and bring them home. And everybody in that store that worked there had that same type of mentality. And for me, that's the same thing we're trying to create here. We're trying to create that small town, for me, grocery store experience, but on a much larger scale. Our customers want to know us, or they want us to know them and value them and really help them out. So another way that we can kind of think about this, and this is for engaging customers, but 75% of consumers think companies should make answers to all their common questions available on their smartphones. 77% of customers would prefer to resolve their issues on their own with some sort of self-service support. So now you're starting to see the switch over from, do I need to talk to a live person to get my issues resolved, or is it better for me to have some sort of a solution where my customers can come to me and actually resolve their own issues? And this is an extremely hot topic right now, and this ties back to the idea of having that central focal point for all your information, customer data, knowledge, etc. Moving to the bottom left, consumers 18 to 29 years old are more likely to use a brand's social media site for customer service interactions than for marketing. So if you think about what your social media sites are doing for you today, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc., are they actually just marketing to your customers, or are you allowing your customers to come back to you and actually use it for service to get issues resolved? According to J.D. Power and Associates, it's the latter. People are really using it for service interactions. And the last stat on here on the bottom right, which I think is extremely interesting, is by 2020, the customer will manage 85% of the relationship with an enterprise without ever interacting with a human being. So if you think about all that information that I'm talking about that you should have about your customer, all the ways that they're contacting you, and then start to think about what are ways that I can help them answer their own questions by maybe it's a knowledge management solution, or allowing them just to get to the data that they need to understand where their journey is at with you. You're not setting yourselves up today for maybe that, but in 4, 5, 6 years, if you're not planning for it now, you're going to be behind the curve, according to Gartner predicts. So this is a really big thought and something really to keep in mind. And as you look at helping your customers, again, effort is the strongest driver for satisfaction and loyalty. So one stat on here, I won't read them all, but on the bottom left, 75% of U.S. online consumers say that valuing their time is the most important thing a company can do. So in order to value time, you need to resolve your issue quickly, but you need to do it the right way also. So I hear a lot of customers when I talk to them talk about kind of a white glove treatment, right? They're not as worried about that first call resolution or they can resolve a quickly issue. It's how well we can do it at this point. So they're starting to not track the stats of how quickly they're going through and getting calls through queue. It's how well do we answer the issue and get it done. But what this is saying is we need to look at this and say we need a low effort interaction for our customers in order to build that loyalty. So we need to find a balance between how quickly we can get something done and how well we can get something done. And then really understand, how we're doing that and create that correct balance. So the challenge is for our service professionals, where do you find that balance, right? As customer experience needs to increase, and on the left side, for our customers, how effortless is it for me to seek service? So if I'm coming to your company, how easy is it for me to do business with you? And what is that journey? And can I get my issues resolved correctly and quickly? And then can I deliver a consistent experience or can it deliver a consistent experience across all those different channels? And if I choose to get in one way and then it's not working for me and I switch over to, so say from a phone call to an email or chat, does the company I'm working with understand that? And can they pick up the conversation where we left off on that other media channel? And then lastly, does my social graph recommend it? So in other words, are all the people that I connect with on, either a social tool like Facebook or whatever, or even my neighbors, do they like the brand that I'm working with as well? And were they going to recommend it to me? And on the flip side of that, on the right side, we look at how do we bring down the cost to serve? So cost of service across all those channels varies significantly, right? It's different to deliver a video interaction in a phone call maybe versus trying to answer emails or chats with your contact center. Or how do we provide differentiated levels of support? Does everybody need to have white glove service? Or when you think back to that stat where 85% of the relationship is going to be handled without even a person being available, self-service is really going to start to take over, at least according to Gartner. Do you need to have that white glove service again for everyone, or can you provide a very simple way for people to have low effort to do business with your company? And then lastly, agent needs to be adept at handling all the different kinds of communications that are available. So it's not just good enough to have a phone call anymore and have that conversation, but they also need to know all the different media types. And then all of those need to start being tied together in that one, again, singularity. And for me, that's that CRM solution. So if we look at the most essential tools for delivering that best customer experience, nearly 2,000 CMOs were surveyed here, and the survey is a summary of the top initiatives to deliver better CX. And the ones highlighted in green are the key technologies that we pay attention to here at Avtex. So those are interaction management, again, a CRM solution right up there at the top, predictive analytics, call center solutions, data warehouses, etc. And again, it's not just good enough to have these available, it's how do they integrate and how do they talk to one another to really make that larger solution. And this starts to tie together more so than me just presenting a webinar and talking about some interesting stats from Gartner and others, but it actually ties right back down to the bottom line. So to illustrate the point, here's the results by a company called Watermark Consulting, and they're a customer experience think tank. And they ran an experiment where they invested in the top 10 leaders and the top 10 laggards in the Forrester Customer Experience Index, and they did it over 5 years. And they tracked their performance versus the broader S&P 500 index from 2007 and 2011 across those 5 years. So if you think about what the economy was doing from 2007 to 2011, we weren't in the greatest spot in the world economy, and that's grossly understating it. But what happened is the return of the customer experience leaders was 128% higher than that of the customer experience laggards. And it was 27% higher than the bellwether companies that make up the S&P 500. So this isn't just something that you do to make your customers feel good about the brand and the quality. It actually ties right back down to revenue and growth and your bottom line. So this strongly suggests that delivering leading customer experience allows these companies to dramatically outperform the market. And the exact same thing can happen with your company. It's just a matter of paying attention to your customer experience, understanding what solutions you're using, simplifying where possible. And again, I'm going to bring it up to have that singularity of your customer knowledge, their data, and then what you can do with it once it's in place. So how do you start to deliver kind of that amazing customer care? And I think there's a couple ways. So first of all, personalize it. So I'll bring it back to the grocery store example with Norm. And his name really was Norm, and it was actually Norm Peterson. So if there's any Cheers fans from the 80s and 90s, it's even better. But establish empathy, understanding, and that advocacy across your customers' employees. So this doesn't also, this doesn't just stop at your customers. This also goes through your employees too, with giving them the information and the knowledge that they need where they can really deliver a personalized experience. So when someone contacts you, no matter how it is, they feel like they're known, that they've done business with you before. This is a company they want to continue doing business with because they're very valued and they're known. Secondly, make it you can be productive with this. You can boost productivity with quick access to consistent and organized information. And consistent really is the key, and it's going to come up again here in this slide. That consistent approach for each one of the ways that people, your customers, your clients can get in contact with you. So they don't have to feel like they're coming to a different company if they make a phone call versus the video chat versus opening a portal. It's all one journey for them. It's all one experience, and it's solid at that. Next is proactive. By having this kind of singular central solution, a proactive empowers consumers with intelligent and guided self-service. So this goes back to that 85% number, right? Where customers can get in and they can have a relationship with your company without having to, pick up the phone or try and reach somebody. And not that that's a bad thing, right? It's not absolutely not a bad thing when they reach out and connect with you or a live person. But what's going to start to happen is the customer is going to start doing the research ahead of time to go through self-service. And if you understand the journey they've taken for them to go through then and do that research, and when they pick up the phone or when they reach out to you, now you have an extremely educated agent or extremely educated employee that can help them out rather than trying to, understand their issue. So a few slides ago, the number one reason why customers would leave a brand, it's due to having to call in or reach back out and re-explain the issue that they've been having. But if you can capture all the different ways they're coming in, they can go through and do the research they've needed and try and resolve their problem, and they've gotten to that point where they just can't get any further by themselves. They get into your company. Now you understand the journey that they've had, and you can pick up and resolve the rest of their issue. And then lastly, be consistent. And this is a huge theme, and it came under productivity, but leverage that consistent engagement across all of the channels and be precise about it, and again, create that very personal support, personalized support. So as we start to wrap up, I want to drive home that idea where we can be simplistic to drive the customer experience, and that starts to me with a centralized knowledge or customer intelligence solution where the rest of as many lines of business or solutions can come off of it. So thinking about CRM in the middle, a very good CRM solution, your PBX, your contact center, how you develop applications, thinking about things like enterprise social and marketing and knowledge management and social insights and listening, and even to portals and how you use email and pull data out of it and look at your key metrics with Power BI and Power View and those types of things, really becomes the centralized kind of solar system, right? CRM anchors the business. And to me, CRM, a CRM solution, again, isn't just about having basic information, email addresses. It's not just about having addresses in general or just, what order history have we done. It's starting to take it to the next level where we can actually take proactive steps to reach out to our customers. It's also about taking that data and doing very interesting things like applying, say, machine learning to it, where we can take that data and actually present information to, say, our sales teams, where now they can reach out and their CRM solution is telling them what cross-sell, upsell advantages or opportunities there are, and these things are all possible today. So deliver that effortless experience with CRM. This is kind of a worldview of how CRM comes together. So empowering brands and employees to differentiate their business with contextual and consistent customer service, right? So being personal, being proactive, being predictive, using service engagement experience that really drive loyalty and advocacy. So deliver that exceptional experience, it requires an understanding of our customer's perspective, right? Again, it's not just about us. The customer is the new CEO. So it requires an understanding of their perspective, and we need to deliver an environment that positions agents to have that successful customer interaction and gives businesses the tools to spot trends and then respond instantly as well. So take the customer's point of view and earn their loyalty. Give your agents or your own employees the chance to be their best each and every time. Get that knowledge in front of them and have that centralized knowledge repository for them. And then always have the ability to support a dynamic and rapidly shifting market in the way that meets your business goals, right? It's to be agile. So if you understand your customers and where they're at today, you can actually start to paint a picture of where they need to be tomorrow and really start to understand where you need to move. Again, it's not about planning for today, right, with a really good CRM solution and tying that to the rest of your ecosystem. It's about that 2020 vision where 85% of your customers or that relationship is going to be managed outside of maybe what you have control with a human being. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to thank you for joining the broadcast today. Again, we're going to make this available out at customerintelligence.avtex.com. We have 2 other webinars coming up in the next couple months. Next one is going to be successful CRM integration examples. That'll be on May 18th, and then What's New with Dynamics 2016 will be on June 15th. So I'll open up really quickly. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Otherwise, if you don't have any right now, something pops in your head afterwards, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to talk with you, and I'd be happy to pick up the phone or email or chat or whatever makes the most sense. All right, I'm not seeing anything that's coming across, so thank you for attending again. Please go out to customerintelligence.avtex.com for more information, and we'll connect with you soon.